So now we are going to look at, I've created this picture, this fancy little picture that you guys all saw. Now we're going to talk about some of the big ideas that come from making this reflection. I've talked about them a little bit already, but let's look at it a little bit more specifically. So if I were talking about this original shape versus this image and talking about the line of reflection and how they relate to each other, what I should be able to say is I should be able to make assumptions about this distance from like one point to the line of reflection versus its corresponding point to the line of reflection. A couple of those assumptions that I should be able to make is I should be able to say that this distance here is the same distance as it is here. Okay, so let's measure that up and be sure. So from H to this line of reflection, it looks like I'm at about 2.3, 2.4 centimeters. It's like 2.35. So this distance here is 2.35, I'll say, centimeters. And then this distance should also be the same from the line of reflection to the corresponding point, which it is. It's about 2.35 centimeters. So I should be able to say that about every single point on this. If I was comparing B to the line of reflection and B prime to the line of reflection, that should be the same distance. So I have from B to B prime, it's about 5.4 centimeters. I want to see that same distance, B to B prime, 5.4 centimeters, okay? So like I'm seeing the exact same distance from every single point on this side to the line of reflection as every single point on this side to the line of reflection. They should be equal distances away from the line. As well, if I were to link any corresponding point, so I'm going to link G to G prime this time. If I link any corresponding points together, I should be able to see that this angle that is formed here to here, from that invisible line that links those together to this line of reflection, because technically this line is not part of my construction of those two shapes, so I would call it invisible. Those two lines should be 90 degrees to each other. So the way I can measure that and be sure is I can put this little centerpiece of this angle ruler right on this point, and I can line up one side of my angle ruler with that point that I'm trying to go through, and then look at this line of reflection through this other line, and it should line up perfectly with 90 degrees, which it does. Kind of cool. So that means this invisible line that links these two corresponding points, this invisible line meets this line of reflection at 90 degrees. And if we make that little square shape, which we're going to be talking about this again when we look at Pythagorean theorem and stuff, when we make this little square shape at the corner of this angle, that means that we have a 90-degree angle. That's a very special shape that we can only use for 90-degree angles. So essentially, what we can take away from this is every single corresponding point on these shapes, so E to E prime, B to B prime, C to C prime, D to D prime, and so on. Every single one of these shapes, if we were to draw a line between them, they would meet with this line of reflection at 90 degrees. As well, the length of the line from G to the line of reflection and G prime to the line of reflection, or any other set of corresponding points on these shapes, they are the same length of line. Last but not least, if I were to truly be able to prove that this shape corresponds to this shape, and I'm going to write this word now because I haven't written it down yet, corresponds. If a side length corresponds with another side length, or if an angle corresponds with another angle, the angle on the original or the side length on the original should be the same angle measure or side length measure on the image. So if I was looking at, say, angle A here, and looking at that, I have a 90-degree angle here. And if I were to look at that same angle over on this side, whoops, I'm making a mess. Same angle over on this side, I also have that same 90-degree angle. I can also look at these other sides here, oops, here and down, I have 3.5 centimeters. And on this same side, on the corresponding image, it is also 3.5 centimeters. So I can know that each of these sides, that little hash mark through that side, I can say that this is congruent to this side. This angle and this angle, they are congruent, that little rainbow. I can do the same thing with these other angles that are in here. If I measure this B angle, B prime should also be the same angle measure, and so two little rainbows would tell me that these are the same angle measure, but they're different than these A angle measures. All right, so lots thrown at you in this little video. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. I am happy to go over this all again personally if you need it. Let me know if you need any extra support. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you later. Bye.